One night, in 2007-ish, I saw a preview of what is technically the series premiere of R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour on Cartoon Network. Only this time it was called Don't Think About It. Now keep in mind, I had a strange phobia of Barney, so of course, I was freaked out to the point where my parents had to calm me down. At the time, there was no way in hell I would be watching that movie. Cut to maybe a week later when a preview for Goosebumps on Cartoon Network came on. I remember seeing it and still being a little creeped out, but also a little interested. Well, I guess my mom saw my sister and I's interest, because she told us that they were a series of books our brother read. So one day, while we were moving, we actually found his old Goosebumps books. And when I saw the covers, well, I went through all kinds of thoughts. Holy shit, these are creepy. These are kinda cool. Is someone watching me? The covers were so creepy to look at, but yet so awesome at the same time. The covers I remember being freaked out by the most were The Living Dummy, Barking Ghost, and Camp Cold Lake. Anyway, my interest in the show increased and I eventually ended up watching it. And it was fucking legendary. Okay, the production value is pretty mediocre compared to today, but back then, that was my introduction to the most anxiety-inducing, pulse-pounding, and most creative genre of all, horror. Anyway, one day, I finished Goosebumps and got, I wouldn't say bored, but more just like, wanted to watch something else for a while. Maybe I got too scared of it, who knows? So one day, I randomly stumbled across a trailer for Stephen King's Children of the Corn. It kind of freaked me out, so I thought, what else has this Stevie guy written? And then the commercial narrator said the movie was from the author of Carrie, The Shining, The Dead Zone, and Christine. So I watched the trailers for those movies. Let's start with Carrie, a girl with telekinetic powers. Now keep in mind, today, I love all those tales mentioned in the trailer. But back when I had the attention span of a jellyfish and wouldn't watch anything if it didn't involve cars or guys in capes, I was just like, okay, she has telekinesis, so what? Then The Shining. Okay, what the hell is The Shining? The fact it was directed by Stanley Kubrick didn't help. Back then I thought it was called that because Jack Nicholson's teeth shine bright in the poster. Not gonna lie, they are pretty shiny. Trailer for The Dead Zone. He can predict when you will die. Alright. The evil camera in Goosebumps can do that. Not interested. Finally, Christine. He stole my car idea. Oh yeah, I also got interested in writing it around that time, and I owe that to R.L. Stine. R.L. Stine's big imagination got me thinking of my own monsters living under my bed and playing them to stories, from ghosts to vampires, to two telekinetic siblings who are told that they have supernatural properties and must let those powers kick in so they can defeat a mysterious stranger who can use his mind to turn people into mindless, obedient zombies. Except his siblings can't fall under the villain's power, since their telekinesis sort of defends against it, so they have to try and defeat him before he dominates the world. Because if he dominates the world, then anyone who is under his power cannot be turned back, so they have to be shot or killed. So I wrote some short stories now and then. Looking back, they were probably the shittiest works of literature ever written by a human. No character development, no suspense, and not even a plot really. Just, here's these kids, now watch them die. Yeah, they were the spitting image of cringe. But back then, I gave no fucks about anything. I was just impressed that I had written a story. Well, at least I thought it was a story at the time. Anyway, my 4th and 5th grade year, I read scary stories to tell in the dark, which I liked given that they were a little more savage than Goosebumps. It held me over for the time being. Then in 6th grade, I see Goosebumps is on TV again. Not Cartoon Network, but not Cartoon Network this time. No, the channel called The Hub. So I recorded some episodes and watched them. Then a promo for a show called R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour came on. What episode was it? Why, none other than Creature Feature. despite the fact I like the episode now, back then I just scoffed at the ad. Yeah, that looks stupid, I thought. It's depressing how much I was missing at the time. So anyway, on YouTube one night, I see a recommended video for an ep of the Haunting Hour, and it had the Wimpy Kid guy in the thumbnail. So, being a Wimpy Kid fan at the time, I clicked on it. The ep was catching cold, and I was impressed. Keep in mind, this came from the same guy that wrote the Haunted Mask 2, which basically recycles the plot of the first Haunted Mask and removes all the heart. Talking about the book version, by the way, not the episode, which is actually really good. Anyway, I decided to watch next week's episode, and from that point on, I was ready to tune in every Saturday to have the shit scared out of me. As I watched the show more and more, my inspiration to write is increased, and I start brainstorming ideas of what kind of episodes they should tackle. Some of my ideas actually came true, such as Mascot and Coat Rack Cowboy. Over the years, I kept watching the show while having Are You Afraid of the Dark and Creepypasta to hold me over. The creepypastas were not very well written, but they had enough edge to hold me over. Anyway, one day Haunting Hour ended and I was just like, shit. But I still came up with the ideas since the Haunting Hour deserved a bigger finale than that. So one year, my sophomore year to be exact, I take a creative writing class and write some of my ideas for episodes into stories. Some were not very well written, but my teacher appreciated the creativity. Months later, after becoming interested in Stephen King again, I received the novels Misery and The Shining, so I read Misery first, and it was an awesome novel to start out with. Stephen King's somewhat passive-aggressive / sarcastic writing style, especially with those parenthetic thoughts, those are pretty sarcastic sometimes. Yeah, that took me a while to get used to, but other than that, I really enjoyed that book. I read The Shining and I thought it was a good story, but not a good horror story. It was actually kind of silly at times when it came to the horror, but good story nonetheless. Good drama. So after reading a good chunk of Stephen King's novels, I start writing again. Now my writing has been improving more and more. I began to see why I love to write again. Of course, YouTuber Travis McBee got me to be a little more serious about my writing, but he's a tribute video for another day. R.L. Stine got me started and Stephen King kept me going. These are two amazing writers to start out with if you want to ease yourself into the world of terror, or if you want to ease your kid into the world of horror. I recommend starting with R.L. Stine, though, for that. Anyway, I give these two writers an A+, plus a Platinum Skull. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.